Hey friends, I hope you've had a great week and I bet you are happy that we are at the end of the week. It's Friday and you're getting ready for the weekend. I wanted to share something real quick with you as you move into the weekend, as you get ready for the weekend. I've been thinking a lot about guilt in the last 1 week because I was working super hard on a presentation for a webinar that I offered yesterday. This was called Guilt is a Bully, Stand Up to It and Say No More. And it was a really fun presentation to create because it had a lot of useful information and content for people who signed up. And that has me thinking about when did my guilt really start and how guilt kept me trapped for a very long time. Well, in my case, my guilt was threefold. There were three things that I was feeling extremely guilty about around the time my mother was diagnosed with cancer. This was back in 2008. 10 days after my husband, my daughter, who was 15 at the time, and I had left India to come to the United States and begin our lives here. So when she was diagnosed, the first piece of guilt that I had was around the fact that I was so far away from her. For most of my life, even after my husband and I got married, I lived pretty close to where my parents lived, and so I was available to them for anything they needed me 24/7. I would take them to doctor's appointments. I would buy groceries for my mother if she wasn't feeling well, and was just available on the phone and in person to help them with anything they needed. And I felt like just when she needed me so much more, I had moved a continent away. And there was so much guilt around that, especially because my parents were living with my sister at the time. And she, who's 6 years younger than me, and so I felt really bad for having left her and moved away and begun my life here. And she was dealing with this very, very difficult situation. So there was a lot of guilt around the fact that I couldn't be there doing more for my mother. The second aspect of guilt that I carried for a long time was that my father was bedridden, virtually bedridden, in and out of hospitals, had several medical challenges, beginning with 1993 when he suffered a road accident and a head injury. So my mother had been his primary caregiver, and his medical situation had been really, really crazy for many, many, many years. We were in and out of hospitals with him. He had to have several procedures. He had problems with allergies because of medications, all kinds of things. And my mother was caring for him through all of this. So when she was diagnosed, I had this terrible feeling that, oh my gosh, we didn't do anything to take care of her. We were so focused on my father's health that we hadn't spent any time thinking about what my mother was going through. Her stress levels were probably going through the roof, and we didn't take her for a medical checkup or just to get her levels tested or any of that, because all our effort and energy and attention was so focused on my father, who was, like I said, dealing with so many medical crises, one after another. The third piece of guilt that I carried for a long time was that because we were in a new country and we were still exploring and sightseeing and, just taking in this new country and culture, I would feel extremely guilty when I did something nice for myself. Like we would be out, in the botanical gardens or somewhere beautiful, and all of a sudden I would be seized with this feeling, how can I be doing this? How can I be doing something nice for myself? How can I be enjoying this day, this weather, this sunshine, when my mother is suffering and struggling so much through through cancer in India. And so these three pieces of guilt kept me trapped for a very long time until I found a spiritual mentor. And I found this mentor after she passed away because I was in such a black hole with regard to my grief that I knew I needed help. But I knew I needed help from a spiritual perspective because I knew there was something more to this whole picture than I was seeing. And I knew I wanted to work with someone who would help me deepen my spiritual understanding of what was going on. So, this spiritual mentor is the person who finally helped me make peace with my guilt. And when I did, everything changed, everything shifted. I really began to understand the story I had been telling myself. I understood how I was staying stuck in an emotion and in storylines that were completely useless to me. And this is why the work I do today has become so meaningful to me. So, starting on the 9th of May, I am opening up a group coaching program. Our first session is on the 9th of May, and this program is called Give Up the Guilt, Grow Through Grace. It's a 6-week group coaching program. All the details are on the page. I have linked to it right above this video. You should be able to find it. So I hope you will consider joining me. If guilt is something you have been struggling with, and you've tried many, many different things, and nothing is making sense, and nothing is helping you feel better, and you still feel like you're looping around the circle, like you've tried everything, but the same feelings keep coming back, let's talk about it. This may be the program that's right for you. If you're familiar with my work, you know that my work comes from a deeply spiritual perspective, and I believe that this sacred soul level work is what helps liberate us from all the negative emotions that keep us trapped. Because when we look at life through the lens of spirituality, through the lens of our soul's purpose, then everything begins to make sense. It's like that kaleidoscope where we begin to see the beauty of the view instead of pieces that we don't like, that we judge as ugly or difficult or negative. So if this program is calling to you, I would love to have you in that group. Give Up the Guilt, Grow Through Grace, 6-week group coaching program. You can find all the details and all the testimonials and everything about how the different sessions are being formatted. Everything is on the link above. So click the link. It'll take you to a page where you can read more about the program, what participants who've taken it last year have to say, and then decide for yourself. If you feel called, if you feel like this is the right time, go ahead, make a commitment, and give yourself the gift of releasing yourself from the pain of carrying this difficult emotion, which is not serving you. Because here's what happens when you finally are able to let go of guilt and make peace with it. Your life opens up in unexpected ways. When we let go of a certain negative emotion that's taking up a lot of energy in our life, we create more room for the goodness to move in. So I invite you to consider this group coaching program if it's calling to you. And if you have any questions, ask me. I'm happy to answer any question you have. If you're wondering if this is the program for you and you want to just have a conversation about it, let me know. We can hop on a phone call. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you next week.